The
Hi.
great Lin-Manuel Miranda. The movie is Tick, Tick, Boom. Thanks for giving me a few minutes today, sir.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you.
Awesome. So first of all, my congratulations, because this is the second really good musical that you've worked on this year. The first being In the Heights. That has to be some kind of record. I can't think of anybody else who have had two really great musicals come out in the same year.
Well, you can thank the pandemic for that because it's supposed to come out in summer of last year, but here we are.
Hey, take a win where you can get it, is
I'll
what
take the
I
win.
say.
I'll
You got
take
a
the
good
win.
thing going on.
I'm sorry. That was a cynical response.
But okay, so Tick Tick Boom is ostensibly the story of Jonathon Larson, the composer of Rent during his years as a struggling composer. But watching the movie, I found this notion really intriguing that on some level, it's also your story. You're
Mm.
somebody that knows what it is to be a musical theater composer, who knows what it is to be a starving artist, who knows what it is to be a New Yorker. And because this is your first film as director, I'm really wondering, how much of yourself do you find putting into Jonathon's story? How does that lens help you shape the narrative?
Well, it's interesting. I think that I knew what I knew and I knew what I didn't know. If that makes any sense, I
Okay.
knew that I understood what it is to be a songwriter. I understood the weight of having a whole ass musical in your head and the gulf between that and anyone else hearing it, and the mountains of good luck and hard work that have to happen to get a cast and producers that believe in you and collaborators that elevate what you do. What I didn't count on, and I'll tell you this story because it directly relates to your question,
Please.
is that you make hundreds of decisions as a director every day, and they add up to something more personal than you anticipated. The first time I had a rough cut of this, I called one of my best friends, Kiara, and said, I have a rough cut. She lives on my block.
Okay.
And she said, I'm on my way. And she comes down and she watches the rough cut with me. And the first moment they cut to Jonathan's bedroom in his apartment, she like whirls around and looks at me and goes, Lynn, that's your bedroom, dude. That futon on the floor and that shit next to the bed, that's what your 20s apartment looked like.
Oh my
And I
God.
burst into tears and said, oh my God, this is so personal. It sort of hit me all at once because in my experience and my thesis was just tell Jonathan's story and
Yeah.
be as faithful to that as I can, but you can't help but tell your own story while you're doing that.
Now, the other thing I really identified with Jonathon was the idea of the ticking, that you need to do more before a certain age or before your time is up. And Robin and I were just talking about this in the other room. But I want to ask you, I mean, you've got a good thing going on. You've got two great musicals this year. You've got Grammys, Tonys, Pulitzer, like you do. What is it that you feel like you need to accomplish before your time's up?
Yeah. Well, what's clarifying about this musical, and the reason I think it hit me like a ton of bricks when I was 21 years old and saw Raul Esparza doing it at the Jane Street Theater, was it's about reconnecting to why you fell in love with this in the first place. And I know there's an alternate timeline where no one produces In the Heights, and I am still teaching English at Hunter High School, and I'm still writing songs at night. And I know that that would still be true even that's in that other timeline, because that's what I feel like I'm meant to be doing with my time. When Jonathan asked in that show, what a way to spend the day, that was I had the same answer he did. And I know that there is another timeline where Jonathon Larson is 61 years old and sitting next to me and telling you what he's proud of in the movie and complaining that I cut green dress. And I wish I were in that timeline where we're talking about his 10th and 11th musicals. But this was the best way I could collaborate with someone who set me on this path. And so that's the thing I get back to at the end of the day is connecting with the original impulse of why we all started doing this in the first place.
That's fantastic. And that, by the way, you and Jonathon Larson sitting on a park bench, that's a movie I want to see.
Yeah, me too.
Lin-Manuel Miranda, thank you so much. Congratulations on the film.
Thank you. Thank you for talking.